thank us for even going after you, Lupin.
Life can be full of surprises.
You are the renowned Lupin III, after all.
This could work out.
All right, well, why don't we start? This first question is a great question, actually. So why don't we let's start beginning with the original cast. We're going to go around, and then we'll pick up our friends from New York. But let's start with the original cast, and the question is: introduce yourselves, let us know your name and your role in Lupin III, the first. So why don't we start with our Lupin himself, Tony Oliver.
Well, I'm Tony Oliver, and I'm the voice of Lupin III, at least the current one.
All right, and Lex, you want to?
Hello, I'm Lex Lang, the voice of Goemon Ishikawa the 13th.
All right. Michelle? Michelle, are you there?
Oh, hi. Hi.
It's very early in Los Angeles for us. This is very
So
early in the morning for us.
I guess I shouldn't have drank those couple martinis last night.
And you didn't even invite me. That's terrible.
Oh, you were here in spirit, honey.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
This is Michelle Ruff, and I am the voice of Fujiko Mine.
Yes, you are. All right, and then Doug, you want to tell us about you?
Yes. I'm that guy that took over that job for that other guy. I think he passed in a pickle vat or something like that, but I am Doug Erholtz, and I am Zenigata to all these other amazing crew. And I've been very fortunate to be added on to these guys because they are all legend. Welcome them all. They're amazing. Woo-hoo!
You're a legend. You're a legend.
Well, you know,
Thank you.
I mean,
Yes,
in my
how
own
about
mind.
And I'll go last. Why don't we start with our friends from New York? Why don't you guys go ahead?
Okay, I'll go first. Hi, I'm Laurie Hymes, and I am voicing Laetitia.
Okay. And then
Ooh.
our next.
Hey,
Everyone outside loves that.
Yeah.
They really did, didn't they? Sorry.
That was like perfect timing.
Yeah, right.
And then Paul, you want to tell us
Yes.
a little bit about yourself?
Hello, I'm Paul Guyette. I'm voicing Gerard.
Gerard.
He's the bad guy, as Billie Eilish would say. Yeah. Duh.
Okay, that's what.
Except she'd
Billy
whisper
would
it.
say. All right.
Yeah, she'd whisper it and then have a huge music
Whisper
video.
sing.
And
Be really unsettling,
I'm
yeah.
Richard Epcar, and I play the voice of Jigen. And I also put these characters together in the beginning, way back when, about 13 or so years ago. Put this cast together, and I love this cast, and I personally feel they're the definitive Lupin the Third cast. So. I hope you feel the same. And we're all very, very excited to return for Lupin the Third, the first. So let's go around the horn here now that everybody knows who everybody is. For the returning cast members, how does it feel to return to the world of Lupin again? And how's it been working on Lupin over the years? So once again, when we start with Tony.
Well, honestly, I thought I was done with Lupin years ago.
I always did a spit take there.
We finished the series, and at the time, all of the movies were being done in Texas with Sonny Strait playing Lupin and the other cast from over there. So I thought we were pretty much done. So a few years ago, when you give me a call and say, "Hey, buddy, we're going to do this again," it was fantastic. It was fantastic. I love this character. He's fun to play. He's easy on the voice. It's fun to play comedy. I hardly ever get to do that. So I think it's terrific. And now the last few projects, each one seems to be a little better. The story's a little better. The animation gets better. The characters are getting deeper. They're getting more fun to act. So this has been a great experience.
Well, the original, you have to remember, the original one we did the Red Jacket series, which was it was a series that was done in the 70s. And they tried to make it
Update it.
Update it. It didn't really quite sync up, if you ask me, but thankfully it got all of our foots in the door, so we could continue our feet. Yes, thank you.
We got all of our feetsies in the door.
Our feces in the door. That wouldn't be good. So we were able to do this. Michelle, how does it feel to you to come back to this character and
Well, Fujiko is like a little piece of home. She's a
Yeah.
little slice of home for me. So, I mean, I always love coming back to the show and to the series in any form because it's just so much fun. And I think, Richard, like you said, you think that you feel that this is the definitive cast, and I feel that way too. So getting the band back together,
yeah,
as it were, is always, it's always a blast.
It's always really comfortable too, isn't it? Because we've all worked together so much over the years, and particularly in Lupin.
I mean,
so.
the laughs that we've had.
Yeah, we do have a lot of laughs making this show. And
Sometimes inappropriately.
yes,
most of the time.
Hopefully, always inappropriately. And Lex, how does it feel for you, buddy, coming back and doing it? And how has it felt doing Lupin over the years?
Well, it's been amazing over the years. The character is very stoic and sort of reticent in his demeanor, which is always sort of a juxtaposition to the comedy side of it, and it's. I was recently, before this interview, watching a whole bunch of different episodes just to kind of refresh my memory with the series and the property, and I just forgot how funny it is. Richard, you wrote a lot of that stuff, and it is just hilarious. I was trying to come up with some of my favorite lines, and there were just so many. I know we're going to touch on that a little bit later, but there were so many good ones. And coming back to it was really cool because I had seen the trailer for the 3D CG Lupin the Third, the first, before we knew we were doing it. And I was like, oh my God, I so hope we get the chance to voice this, and sure enough, it came around, and that was a thrill to hear that we were doing it. Like, I was really excited about it.
Yeah,
it was a lot of fun to record too, so thank you.
Me too. And what's weird is it's always kind of a crapshoot when we get to do it. You would think by now they would seek us out, but it's always kind of a crapshoot when we get to do it.
You never know. Yeah.
We never know. But I too was very, very excited because the movie looks amazing. So to be part of it, and I actually got to write the adaptation for this film too. So it was really nice to be a part of it on that end as well. And for let's talk to the new cast members. How does it feel to be part of this franchise and this? They call it a storied franchise, but how does it feel to you? We'll start with Laurie.
I was really excited. I mean, I didn't expect, I didn't know what to expect, but it was really, really fun. And I had a blast recording it. It was so funny. And I don't know, it's kind of neat to be a part of something that's been around for so long and get to jump in and play with everybody. So that was really fun.
Were you familiar with Lupin the Third before you did the show?
I was not.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Neither was I, so it's okay. Me neither.
None of us were.
Yeah, and I kind of found out I was doing it.
Me neither.
I started recording the day after I found out I was doing it, so I didn't have too much time. But it was, I almost think it was better because Laetitia's kind of, stunned by all of these people. So it was kind of fun to be stunned by all of you.
Yeah.
So it was
Well,
fun.
we are stunning people, so what can I
Yes,
say?
you are.
As a matter of
Paul,
fact.
what was your feeling about it?
Well, so I had seen a tiny bit of Lupin the Third over the years, kind of in the periphery. And then when I got cast in this and it was called Lupin the Third, the First, I was like, oh, okay, I guess this is a reboot. And then I kind of dove into the history of this, and I love the fact that this has been going on for over 50 years and has just spun off into so many crazy different things. And the fact that it's technically kind of the same thing. So it's fantastic to see the evolution of something that's been around for half a century. That's insane.
Yeah, true.
But so daunted, I guess, was it, because it's like, now you're a part of this, you're a brick in the pyramid. So,
Right.
Yeah.
And then Doug, what is it like for you to step
be
in these shoes?
part of the
and
definitive cast and yet the new guy.
Yeah.
I know. I know, right. How does that happen? Well, again, there was an original Zenigata in this definitive cast, and he passed away in a pickle vat accident, I believe.
No, he
That's
didn't.
what-
Stop spreading those
A lot of people
rumors.
tell me that. A lot of people are saying that, Richard.
No, it's not true. It's not
If you
true.
say it
God,
3
you
times,
feel
it's
like you're
true.
part of the
He has the best
definitive
pickle
cast.
vats.
Yeah.
Do I feel like I'm part of the definitive cast?
I think you
Absolutely.
do. To me, you do feel like
Absolutely.
you've always been there.
I mean, I think I'm finally getting my Lupin down. Lupin! And it's taken a while, but I think I'm getting there.
You got it.
I feel very blessed to be a part of this because it is
Another
such an
3 or
amazing
4
story.
movies, Doug, you'll have it.
What's that?
Another 3 or 4 movies, you'll have it.
I've only done 10 projects so far as Zenigata, so I'm hoping after 13.
13, lucky 13.
But yes, I love this franchise. The movie, I assume when we all saw the trailer, I was blown away because the animation to me, when you take a 2D, a 2D program like this and make it 3D, there's always the chance it's not going to look great. But
Yeah.
this exceeded my expectations.
It looks
because
amazing.
I think
So
it is
gorgeous.
It really does.
great.
Yeah.
So kudos to the animators and just
Yeah.
overall, this was a project that I think everybody was super excited to.
And Jigen's hot. He's hot for a change. He looks fantastic.
hot.
What the hell?
Definitely.
So yeah, it's great. You know, I have to say real quickly that when we started this whole thing, and then I was casting the original Lupin series, I just fell in love with the show, and my big dream was to do more of this stuff. But you never know, and then. Thankfully, the Blue Jacket series came by, and we did that, and that did really well. It was like one of the #1 shows on Toonami, and then the next batch of Blue Jacket series came along. We got to do that, and then we got to do this movie. So we're really, really stoked about being part of this Lupin universe, and we hope it keeps going on and on and on because we love these characters and we love playing them. Lex, did I get to you about this? Did I ask you about?
Yes.
You did
Okay.
originally. You mean how it feels coming back?
Yeah.
We did it.
Okay, so let's go to the next question, which is how do you approach playing your character? And for returning cast members, has your approach changed over the years, I should say? Why don't let's start with our two friends from New York. See, people don't realize this is a national production. We have cast members in New York, cast members in Los Angeles. We're just all over the place. So why don't we start with Laurie? How does it feel how did you approach playing your character?
I really approached her from a physical standpoint because she almost never stops running or fighting or screaming or trying to get away with things. So
Welcome to the franchise.
right? Yeah. So I was really physically trying to approach her that way to try and get into her character because she's just like all over the place.
Yeah.
And it was really fun. I mostly play voice young boys. So to be able to voice a female, like, strong person was really, really fun for me.
Yeah, that's true. And what about you, Paul?
Well, I mean, I love a villain. I gotta say, villains have more fun. Villains are the entire reason that heroes do anything. Otherwise, it'd just be running around shooting webs and going to therapy because their parents are being killed. But if it wasn't for villains, nothing would be happening. So there's always just something delicious about sinking into this guy that's like, and he's not one of those like, anti-heroes. Like, he's a villain. And so you just, there's something wonderful. You can just kind of lean back into it, and everything you do is right because you're so evil. And so there's a delight. There's a delight in, like, I'm going to destroy the world. I'm going to resurrect Hitler. Yeah, man. Anything else? Are there any puppies I can kick?
That all sounds very familiar, Paul. It's kind of scary.
It does. It's, life imitating art right here.
This is therapy for me,
Already
guys. I
imitating
need
life.
this.
The fact that we can see in your closet is a little disturbing.
Yeah, no skeletons, though. Literally no skeletons. So that's
All right,
that's clean.
let's jump to our original cast here. Let's see. How do you approach playing your character? Let's start with Tony again.
Well, originally, when we first started, recall we did the first episode like 3 times because we changed the voice 3 or 4 times. So the original voice kind of developed over 5 or 10 episodes.
Right.
And I was really more focused on the affectations and trying to hit the comedy beats, and I wasn't really looking too much at character, just making sure that he was funny. Now, I'm because that stuff's already kind of set in stone, the characters have been getting deeper. And I've actually had to act a little bit. I mean, not just play the character, but really kind of get into some more of the deep emotions. So now I'm looking more at what Lupin's feeling and how he's relating to everybody at an emotional level. And that's really the basic difference between now and then. But the voice itself is pretty much set in stone, so I don't have to think about that, which is kind of cool. I can just live in the character then.
Yeah,
so that's
great.
what I do.
And what about you, Michelle?
Well, gosh, I remember that first audition, Richard, honestly, like it was yesterday.
Wow.
And I remember thinking, I mean, Fujiko is basically a Bond girl.
Yes,
for all
she is.
intents and purposes.
She
She's like the Bond girl of the series.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, she
when
is.
I first saw her, I was like, God, I kind of grew up on old movies, like watching old movies, and Marilyn Monroe just was always one of my favorites. So
Me too.
when
I said me too.
when I initially started playing her, I really had Marilyn in mind, because Marilyn was the type of girl that she used her sexuality to get what she wanted, but she was also very bright. So
Yeah.
I took that and just kind of put it, not like actually playing Marilyn Monroe, but just giving her a little bit of that, that
Flavor.
feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I think now I feel like over the years, Fujiko has matured. She's gotten more skilled. She's more, she's a little bit wiser than she was 20 years ago or as she was in the 70s. So I enjoy bringing that part of her now to life.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she tried to kill me
seeing
2
that
movies
progression.
ago.
Huh?
Yeah.
You tried to
What?
kill me 2 movies ago.
Yeah, of course I did.
She tries
I
to
would
kill
never
you.
do that.
She steals your
I would never
stuff.
actually do that.
She's so mean to you, Tony, but you still love her, so it's okay.
Yeah, well, that's it's a guy's lot in life.
It's funny you mentioned the Bond thing because I actually met Monkey Punch, who created all this crazy stuff, and we had to speak through interpreters. But it's funny. I am a huge, as you can see, my James Bond posters in the back. I'm a huge James Bond fan, so he is too, and he really based a lot of the Lupin stuff on the Bond movies. There's a lot of Bond stuff in the Lupin movies, and so it was really kind of fun for him and I to talk about our love for Bond and how he created.
You're to
this
bond
whole
over
thing.
Bond.
Yeah, there you go. We were bonding over Bond. That's right. Lex, what about you? Lex, how do you approach your character?
Wow. Well, Goemon is one of the unique in this way. He wasn't he's actually one of the only characters that was not there from the beginning in the manga. And you mentioned Monkey Punch. He was interviewed, and he was saying that they needed to add more of a Japanese character into it. And Goemon was based on this character that Akira Kurosawa, who's a famous director, had a film called The Seven Samurai, and this character named Kyuzo, I think, he was like a master swordsman in that movie, and Monkey Punch said that that's what he was based on. And so, he's very, like I said before, sort of stoic, and he holds down the sort of calm demeanor of the group, but in juxtaposition to the other cast members, it really makes the whole team, come together. But I think also in the manga, Fujiko was Goemon's girlfriend at the beginning, which I didn't realize, and I was kind of reading up on it recently, and I was like, what?
That either.
And Goemon and Lupin did not get along at all. And I think they met because Lupin was trying to steal some formula from Goemon initially, but his cover was blown by Fujiko. And but yeah, so the way I approach it is just to try to stay sort of centered throughout the performance, and it all sort of falls in place, keeping that sort of samurai combined with he does a lot of meditating, and I do meditating also, and so I kind of connect with those dots there.
No, that's cool. And what about you, Doug?
Well, so coming into this, I was asked to do somewhat of a voice match. I don't know if you recall. And so the previous Zenigata of the previous definitive cast,
the one who died
had
in the
more
pickle
of a
accident, yes.
who didn't die in a pickle vat. All right, fine. He had more of a. I think my take on his voice was more of a Walter Matthau kind of comedic gumshoe. He was like, it was more like this, and he kind of had more of a thing and a gumshoe thing, and. So I think what has actually happened with this character throughout, or since we started doing it, is that the animations become a lot less loose.
Yeah.
And they're not, Zenigata is not played as nutty all the way through. I think he's a little bit more streamlined now.
Yeah.
And, I'm extremely loud, so that plays very well for the character, apparently, because pretty much I think 50% of my lines I'm screaming Lupin. So
I just want to say...
Beyond that, I mean,
I just want to say, Doug, when we record you, we don't use microphones.
Right. It's just I'm in the back of the room with a... It's true. It's true. But no, I mean, it's been a blast, and it's fun because... a lot of these productions that we work on, there's not always the same director. It's not always Richard or Tony. We had a new director work with us recently on a couple projects, and I asked him. He was a young, very fresh director. You guys know who I'm talking about. And I said, "So what's it like directing all these legends?" And he's like, "It's the easiest thing in the world." He's like, "I just let you guys do." What we do.
Yeah.
And he's like, you make me look so good. And it's true. You guys are amazing. And thank you for letting me be a part of your gang.
Oh, it's our pleasure. And you fit in great, Doug. So,
Thanks, man.
Yeah. We got a very wonderful cast. We're very, very happy with our cast. With me, with Jigen, it's interesting. When we first started doing this, the Red Jacket thing, I was directing the show, and I didn't want to be in the show, and I wanted to kind of concentrate on directing. And we had a bunch of people come in, literally like 100 or so people come in to audition for Jigen, and they never liked anyone they heard. So one day we were like racking our brains thinking, who can we bring in? And finally the producers turned to me and said, why don't you, Richard, you go in and read it? And I did it, and I came out. They said, well, we found our Jigen. So I said, okay. And
that was easy.
Yeah, it was easy.
100 actors later.
Yeah. So it was one of the times that I was actually really happy that they put me in the show, because he's one of my favorite characters, and I love doing him, and it worked out really well. And my approach to him basically is, he's a really tough guy. He has a really super dry sense of humor, but the thing that I really like about him, he doesn't take any guff off of anyone, and he's just this crack shot, so you don't want to mess with him. But he and Lupin have this kind of brotherly love for each other, where they fight with each other all the time, where they get along, but then they don't get along, and they get angry at each other, just like family. I mean, it's like a family, it really is. So it's
well, he tried to kill me too.
Yeah, well, everyone's tried to kill you, Tony.
We've all.
I think Zenigata is the only one that has not tried to kill you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes.
Just to
But we
rescue.
wouldn't really kill you.
No.
Tony.
I think you would, Michelle.
Meme.
Yeah. All right, so let's go on to the next here. Let's see here. These are
Favorite
some of these are a little odd. Do you have a favorite line from the show? We can just go around the. My favorite lines are the outtake lines, actually. But,
Which I still have not seen your outtake reel.
What?
Richard.
We'll have to show
dear.
you. Yeah, we definitely have to do.
No.
That would
I
not
know.
be a family-friendly.
Yeah, not
outtake
safe for
reel.
work. Yeah.
NSFW.
This is another. I got to really quickly. I'll just kind of talk about this. We started doing these outtakes, and they were hilarious. And one day the producers came in, and I thought, let's play this for the producers. They'll either love it or they'll fire me. So we played the outtakes for the producers, and they loved it so much that they wanted us to do it in every episode. And I said, oh, so are you gonna pay me a little bit more to do that? And they said no. So they said if you
It's a labor of love.
yeah, they just wanted me to do more work for free. So
Exactly.
so they said you if we don't have it, if it doesn't come out organically, then you have to create some. So we did that, and we have some very funny outtakes. I think they're really funny, and the fans really love them a lot. So
The
anyway,
organic ones are always the best, though.
the which ones? The organic ones, yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
All right, Laurie, why don't we start with you? Do you have a takeaway line or a thing that you remember that you liked on the new movie?
Me?
Wait, did you say Laurie or Michelle?
I said Laurie.
Okay.
Honestly, anytime Doug screams Lupin is my favorite. Or, I mean, and I feel like everybody gets at least one out of complete and utter frustration. But every time I heard it, I couldn't not crack up. I thought it's just funny.
If you want me to be your ringtone, just ask.
Thank you. That's the only thing I was after today.
Well,
I'd like that, please.
Yeah, he hasn't even made me that offer. What about you, Paul? Do you have a takeaway line that you remember from the show, or?
I mean, it's not really a line, but I was in the booth. It was like, okay, we just started recording, and my stomach made one of those noises that when you have a hypersensitive microphone. Oh yeah, I think groink is more like groink. And so I heard it, and of course the director heard it. So I looked at him. I'm like, "You heard that?" And he's like, "Heard what?" And he just started playing it back again and again and again and again, and then he put it into the mix.
Oh God!
So it is in the film. I don't know if I should say when it is, or to see if and he played me the scene, and there's an explosion. But if you're listening, you'll hear that's me. So technically,
Spoiler alert.
yes, spoiler alert.
Wow.
Technically,
okay,
that's
look for that.
my favorite line. Yeah.
That alone is worth going to see the movie for, I think.
Yeah, in 7.1, this is going to sound like a nightmare, guys.
Like a monster.
Yeah.
What about you, Doug? You have a favorite line that you remember?
Well, I mean, I was going to say Lupin, but somebody stole that.
Sorry.
Actually, I think Lupin says, "See you around, Pops." Something like that. You always say something where it's something pops. Mm-hmm. Is it "See you around, Pops"? Or
See you later. See you around.
See you later, Pops. Yeah. I always think that's kind of cute.
Yeah.
It's that little,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Toodles. That was the
I'm
other one.
silly.
We brought the toodles back, Tony. We brought the toodles
I
back.
love the
Yes.
toodles.
Me too.
Can I go next? Because I was going to say I love it when Lupin says toodles.
Me too.
Toodles.
Yeah, we went through a period where they wouldn't let us use the toodles, and I said, "That's
Why?
part of the the
Well, in
universe."
Japan, you know what that means, right?
What?
I have no idea.
Eggplant.
I'm just saying, you know what that means, right?
It means your bidet is broken. That's what it means. All right, Tony. Tony,
Bidet,
what
Mike?
is your favorite line?
I was gonna say Lupin too. I love every time that Pops is yelling Lupin. It's just fun. It's I miss it when I don't hear it. If you haven't recorded yet, it's like oh. And I like every time Lupin says Fuji cakes. I just think it's funny when he calls her Fuji cakes.
Yeah, I think it's great too.
Yeah.
And Les?
Yeah, I had some lines that really struck me as funny. I was watching part 2. There's this episode called Buns, Guns, and Fun in the Sun.
Yeah.
And they're out there, they're in Rio de Janeiro, and they're going to do a heist on a soccer stadium's purse.
I remember that, yeah.
And Lupin, a couple of lines are really funny. I wrote them down. It's like, Lupin, they're looking at the beach, and Lupin says, "That's my kind of steak tartare down there, the topless kind." And then he turns to Jigen and he says, "All work and no play makes me you."
Oh, that's funny.
And then Zenigata, they're in jail. They get caught, and they're in jail, and Zenigata makes some kind of threat that refers to like being 6 feet under, and the worms are the only thing that are going to be smiling at you. And then Lupin says, "Oh no, guys, he's threatening us with 20 years up his butt."
Good Lord.
Richard, you must have written that line.
Richard wrote that.
Wow.
And then there was another funny thing in part 4. I don't know the episode name. Maybe it was episode 4 or 5 or something. But Jigen says that he's going to put a bikini on to go and talk to these people, and Goemon says, "What are you going to scare them into submission?" And then later on, when they're about to run somewhere, Goemon's like, "Okay, bikini boy, cover me."
Wow.
I always thought that was pretty funny.
That's hilarious. Yeah,
Can I ask about the worms, the 20 years up the butt line? Is that one of those things where like the deadline for the script is in 2 hours? You're like, I got nothing. Maybe he'll threaten him with 20 years. Yeah, he'll threaten me with 20 years up my butt. There, that's in the script now. And you're waiting for an editor to be like, we can't do that. And then it just happens, and you're like, I can't believe they did that.
No, if you actually watch Lupin, especially part 2, all those episodes, they have so many great humorous lines that are, fly right over the heads of children, but the adults are just rolling in their seats. Because
honestly, an awful lot of that Richard came up with on the fly. To be honest, you were rewriting like crazy.
Thank you,
And
Tony.
a lot of that stuff came up on the fly. So
and it's really funny, and it still holds up today. I was watching,
Yeah.
like I said, part 2, which is a bunch of episodes, a whole season, and I was laughing out loud frequently, and I was like, man, I forgot how funny this was. And
that's
it
great.
really is good. I mean, it really makes you laugh, which is awesome.
And you guys really bring it to life, so that's really fun. Talking about the outtakes and all that stuff, we would do the outtakes, but we would, I would always hope that the engineer, I would always tell him, make sure you take that out so it doesn't go to mix. And a couple of times I'd be watching the show on TV, and they had left the outtake line in there.
Oh, my God.
And that was
Oh,
kind of
no.
scary. So, yeah.
You just tripped over. No.
So that happened
awesome.
a couple of times, and that was a little scary, So
You're like, oops.
and then I remember with Lex, it was really funny. It was the first, I think it was the first episode we did, Lex, wasn't it? Or maybe the second episode, where there was this character, and for some reason he reminded me of Christopher Walken, and I said to Lex, "Can you do a Christopher Walken voice?" And he said, "Absolutely," and we did it, and it was so perfect for this
I
character.
remembered that.
Lupin.
The only problem with that was, once again, the producers saw that and they said, "That's so great. Can we do that with every episode?" And it's like, what? Oh my God! So, see, that's the problem of being,
Got your grave
that
on
was
that
funny.
one.
really, being great. Then they want you to be great all the time. So that's the problem.
Right.
All right, let's go on to the next question here. Let's see. Do you have any favorite parts of the Lupin franchise? Okay. Let's start with Laurie again. We'll go around the horn.
I would have to say this one because that's the one I'm in. So
Makes sense.
so far, I think this one's pretty good.
What about you, Paul?
I like the insane time traveler, Kiyosuke Momo. Just the idea of a guy who, just the idea of an insane time traveler. I mean, you say those words to me, and it's like, okay, go on. So yeah, and just how strange that is. That it started with he's a gentleman thief, okay, and then there's that guy. Then there's the villains and how strange they get.
Yeah,
I think that's always kind of fun. Like the old elf, the ancient elf guy who's like over 10,000 years old. That's really weird, and I appreciate that.
Seems legit.
It's like on one side you have the police coming after Lupin, you have rival thieves, and then you have an ancient imp. Yeah. So I kind of enjoy how.
Somebody
how
remind
weird
me
that
what the
gets.
hell he's talking about. Was this an episode we did?
I just made this up. I am high. No,
Paul dropped some mushrooms one day, and this is what happened. So
I was watching the Care Bears accidentally.
I'm like,
Yeah.
Zenigata was not in that scene.
The guy that, when you shoot hearts from your chest, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I was one of those, so give me a break.
You got to give it a 10 for creativity.
yes, absolutely. They do. To me, sometimes they go a little too way out, but I like I like it when it's more based in some reality. So but they do get a little carried away sometimes. And what about,
Richard,
what about
Richard,
you?
one of the parts of this whole show that really is one of my favorite parts is the music and the animation styles. And, the music especially, it's really amazing. Every episode has different, styles, and every season has like a whole different feel to it, depending on what country they're in. It's always exotic, and it's really cool. And the animation styles just keep getting better and better. Like this Lupin the Third, the first animation is fantastic. I mean, the car chase alone, there's a couple of car chases that are spectacular in this movie that I was like, wow, that's really good. And I also like the evolving relationships of the characters too. That's a pretty cool thing if you just follow along, that they've all been enemies at one point or another, and they've all come together and saved each other at one point or another. And so it's kind of cool that they evolved to having closer relationships with each other. And like Michelle was saying, I think earlier, like they've evolved to being like a family, or Richard, you were saying that.
Yeah.
Too.
And that's for me is kind of the thing that I love about the franchise, is that I know that no matter how poorly we all treat each other in the show as thieves, we always end up back together.
Yeah.
Like we're like the world's best dysfunctional family.
Thick as thieves, baby.
Thick as thieves, exactly.
True. Tony, did you weigh in on that?
No, each part seems to get better for me. So I kind of fall in love with the last thing we did. Part 4 was great. Part 5 was better. This film, I think, takes it to the next level. In terms of story, in terms of animation, of course, is incredible. I love the fact that I can tell that Lupin is wearing leather and Jigen is wearing wool. You can tell. It's that detailed.
It's amazing.
And then the development of the characters are so much deeper. I love, Laurie, what you did with Laetitia. It's beautiful. It was. I like this one the best. I think it brings all of the best of Lupin together in one place, and then raises it up because of the level of the artwork that's being done.
And I think you guys hit on a very important point of why this thing's so popular, is that in spite of all of the terrible things they do sometimes, they are kind of like a family, and they do actually love each other. And I think that family situation makes them very appealing to the audience, and the audience pulls for them because they love these characters and they want them to succeed, even though they're oftentimes
doing awful things.
doing things that are not so great. All right, so let's go on to some other questions here. Let's see. This says, how is it seeing Lupin in CGI for the first time? So I'm gonna grab it real quick and just say, for me, it was amazing. I thought they did an incredible job, and as some of us have said earlier, that sometimes they'll jump to CGI on some other franchises, and it doesn't look so great. But on this particular show, boy, it looked fantastic. It really fit the characters. They looked like they really just came to life out of the two-dimensional Lupin, and
Super cool.
I think the fact that that it has our voices in there too, I think really helps sell the whole thing, to be honest with you. What about you, Laurie? What do you think?
I mean, I think it made my job easier, because just seeing how beautifully she was animated, and their expressions, like even just subtle ones, were so easy to pick out. And I just, it's a beautiful film.
It really is.
It's so and lots of CGI ends up looking kind of weird and grainy, and this is really beautiful. It's really neat.
Yeah,
real nice.
The colorization
It's
of all the
gorgeous.
characters, everything.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful.
And did I mention that Jigen is hot in this?
That too. That was exciting.
Paul, what about you? Did you like the look of the film?
Oh yeah, it was beautiful. I mean, the idea that this used to be a black and white manga, the fact that it was that, and then it was animated, and this is just the next step. just the detail they're able to do this. I mean, I grew up watching, the first time I saw a 3D cartoon, I think it might have been one of the Transformers Beast Wars, maybe? And even back then, I was like, this is awful. This doesn't look great. But like what they've done with it now is it's startling, and the amount of detail they can do. Just like I think the opening shot is of the Bresson diary, and how it like clicks together and makes all these little mechanical noises, and it's absolutely stunning.
And everything looks so realistic. The cars and the gleam on the bumper and the finish on the car. I mean, everything looks so incredible. I mean, it really does. It's visually a treat for the eyes. It really is.
Quite pleasing.
Yeah, it looks awesome.
There is one scene where Fujiko is wearing this really beautiful green, I don't know if it's like silk dress or something, but I mean, she's always dressed really well, but this is the first time where I've been like, damn, I want that dress.
I felt the same way. Laetitia dresses way better than I do.
Yeah, I was like, oh God, I would kill for that dress, literally.
Yeah,
and to add on to what Laurie was saying, I mean, with these characters, with the animation as far as the facial, just the little facial nuances and the emotionality that we see so much better, it just helps us really inform our performance as well. And, when I'm sure, just like everybody else, when you saw the trailer, everybody was like, we have to movie. And it was like, how I know I was probably not the only one that was like, I'm going to be pissed if they don't cast us in this.
Right.
I was going to be pissed if we weren't the fucking, But obviously, they chose well. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, no, we have to be very grateful, and like I say, so many times it's been a crapshoot, and but we wind up doing it, and we wind up doing a great job, and I think the fans really appreciate the fact that we are, the voice of these characters, and I think it makes a huge difference. I think if they had a different cast do this movie, I think I don't think the fans would like it as much. I could be, hallucinating here, but
well, it certainly would be a different movie. It would be a different movie, of course.
I agree with you, Richard.
Yeah, but I think it's important. It's really important. Michelle,
not to take away from those other actors, but we're better.
But I mean, we do have
more modest.
Imposters, they're imposters, I tell you.
humble.
Tony's like, let's be honest.
No, Michelle, I was just thinking of you in this. I was watching the Blue Jacket series the other day, and there was one episode. It's such a great episode where I don't know if you remember it, but you save the girls and it's like a boarding school, and then Fujiko gets in there, and one of the girls is a princess. And then these terrorists come in and they kidnap all the kids and everything. And you basically saved the entire school. And it was
I saved the school. I know, and we see a different side of Fujiko.
Yeah, she was
just like Madonna.
She's so badass in that.
That whole series, I feel like we see a different side of Fujiko. Like in one episode, she plays a gym teacher.
Yeah,
yeah.
I personally like seeing every side of Fujiko, but that's just me. Lex, did you weigh in on this question?
I think I did.
Okay.
Earlier, I was blown away by the CGI. It was what made me immediately say, I wish we get to do this. And I should have wished for something else. No, I'm just kidding. That lottery ticket, darn it, it was between Lupin the Third, the First, or the lottery. Damn it.
Or world peace. Well, yes, it says, if your character weren't in the business of pulling heists, what profession do you think they would pursue? What would their ideal day off look like?
All right.
I think that's every day in the series, isn't it? It's our day off.
Pretty much. It's true.
I think Goemon would probably become a meditation teacher or start his own dojo or something, martial arts.
Yeah.
Because the Zantetsuken is something he could teach people the form of his martial arts. And, he'd go fishing on his day off because he likes fishing. I remember that from a few episodes.
Yeah.
I think Zenigata would totally get into knitting. I think knitting would be his outlet. Since everything else is really highly stressful, I can see him getting in the hammock and do a little knitting. Wow. Maybe knitting some booties for Lupin's
fourth.
For the rest of Interpol.
You think he could calm down long enough to knit?
Not at all. But that's what he would. That's the goal.
That's the dream, huh?
He would knit handcuffs.
Yeah.
Is what he would do.
Yes, he would.
I'd be on the other side of the island just waiting for Lupin to come by my beach.
I just feel like Zenigata's got really high blood pressure all the time.
Why? Where would you get that idea? I think Zenigata is the fifth Beatle. I think that
so.
he really, really wishes he was part of the gang.
He's the Brian
and
Epstein
that's why
of the
he
group.
will never, ever catch Lupin.
I think
Never.
you're
Really?
right.
I always thought he was Javert from Les Mis, but funny.
That's true. That's very true.
Yeah, it's like, why has
Kinda.
Zenigata not caught Sir Lupin at this point?
Because I think part of him, he
that-
does have a soft side for Lupin. I mean, there's that
think he
one
does
time he
too.
finally caught him and he put him in that cell.
They're
he
probably
saves him a lot.
Lost brothers or
I
something.
gotta be honest with you.
Remember, it's like,
For the-
what? You spent your whole life trying to capture this guy. You finally capture him, then you let him
for the
out.
longest time, I didn't know that he wasn't. I thought maybe Zenigata is his father. I didn't realize the whole Arsene the First and all that shit because I came in
Lupin, I
later days. And
am
was
your
like,
father.
well, because they kept on calling him Pops. I'm like, wait, is he really his dad? I'm just saying.
Well,
No, he
that was
calls him
because the
Pops
original,
'cause he's making fun of him.
originally, if I remember correctly, it was a single flap, and the word was old man, and so you changed it to Pops. I think that's where this came about. It was simply a sync issue. I
Oh.
really
Great
do.
origin.
Wow. So Richard Epcar is responsible.
Yeah.
I'm
Wow.
responsible for a lot of things, but I don't want to go into it.
It just struck me, if Gerard was not doing what he was doing, I feel like he would be a personal trainer that you would hate, but you'd hate to work with him.
A
Like, he'd
diabolical
always
personal
smell
trainer.
like his breath would always smell like garlic,
Ooh.
even though you never seen him eat garlic, and he'd always just be a little too close. And he would always just be a little too overbearing, and he'd try and give you that you get the free class, and immediately it's like, okay, let's sign you up for the 14-week program, and it's like, you're coming on really strong right now, and your breath is always bad. I feel like
You need to
strongly,
back off.
yeah, you need to, I just
need to
came here
back off.
for the body mass index. I don't want this. So just 3 steps back, please. Yeah.
I think we were all here for the body mass.
Sounds like a bad experience you had at LA Fitness or something.
Right? I was like going, there's some
Yeah.
truth behind this story.
It's a therapy.
Yeah.
There's always one. There's always one in the gym. He's always the most ripped, leaning on the wall. It's like, why is nobody working with him? Because that's the garlic man.
Does your microphone pop or stop or say road or rude?
Road. It's the brand.
Rude.
Yeah.
Because it looks like rude.
Rude. I like that. Rude. Okay, and finally, let's say, what would you say to anyone who is entering the world of Lupin III for the first time?
Don't make it your last.
Ooh, that's a good one.
That is good. Lex.
I'd say be ready for anything. None of it makes sense, and it's all funny.
Suspension of disbelief.
Yes, definitely.
I'd say
I
hold
say- I
on for the
jumped in
ride.
the
It's going to
first
get
time.
bumpy.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Get bumpy.
Yeah.
I jumped in for the first time and it was a blast. So it's so much fun.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I'd
think
say-
even if it's inconsistency, you don't know what's coming next, you know that it's going to be a fun ride. So that's always something you can expect.
I'd say the awesome thing about this is if you dug this one, you have 50 plus years to go back into and
Yeah.
dig this. I'm so excited for people that this might be something they stumble onto. They have a friend who's like, oh, you should check this out. And then they just have decades of stuff to get into and to fall in love with this thing. And then maybe go back and watch this again and be like, every single tiny little detail, that's a reference to that, that's a reference to that. I love a connected universe.
Yeah,
So
that's true. That's
yeah.
really true. Yeah.
I mean, the four of us, Richard, Tony, Michelle, and I, we've been doing this almost 18 years now.
Yeah.
Going on 2 decades of
Amazing.
Lupin
Yeah.
stuff. So
2000.
Who knew?
2002 or 3, I think, was the first. Who
That-
knew exactly?
That's
I know.
That's that old thing. Be careful what you wish for, because as soon as we did this first one, I said, God, I hope we get to do more of these, because it's I love the characters.
fun.
I loved working
Yeah.
on the show. It was such a great idea. It's not your typical anime by any means, you know. And that's another thing I really love about it. It's like every episode's like a caper film, you know. It's just really fun, and you get involved with it, and there's a lot of adventure, there's a lot of humor, there's a lot of action, and it just to me it's just a winning combination. It's really fun.
Yep.
Anyone
Well,
else?
and now the stories are becoming more complex. The relationships are more complex. The relationship just between Laetitia and Lupin in this film is very complex. There's a lot of layers to it, and it turns into things you don't expect it to.
Right.
Yeah.
So I really like the way the shows have developed so far. That allow.
Will you be returning
it's a
for
deeper
Laetitia
show.
in 10 years, Lupin?
I'm sorry?
Will you be returning for Laetitia in 10 years, do you think?
Gosh,
Oh,
I
probably.
hope
Yeah,
so.
at this point, yeah. Of course, he'll be on a cane.
You still love me.
Yeah, Lupin's like 110, and he's
It's like a January-December relationship, you know?
I'm back.
all right. Well, I think you guys did great. We went through all the questions.
Hey, you know what, Richard? One other thing. I really want to just do a real quick shout out to the fans of the show.
Yeah,
because
that's great, Lex.
you know, when we go out to these Comic Cons and stuff, they show up in droves, and they're just so excited about the show and the work we've all done, and it just makes my day, really, when I see the fans, how committed they are to the show and you know, to all of us, and it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. You know, you have that. There's a connection. You know, we're in the booth doing it all ourselves for the performances, but the connection really happens between the people and the fans and stuff. So that's really super cool.
That's great, Lex. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. And I would.
And
love
I gotta
it.
say, these Lupin cosplayers, that is a
Amazing.
tight look.
Yeah,
I've
they're
seen
amazing.
some
Gentlemen,
of that.
if you're going to go to a con, dress up as Lupin and crew, because you are going to look good.
It's amazing.
And if you're looking for ladies,
I see Lupin and I see Zenigata, but I don't think I've ever seen a Fujiko cosplayer.
I've seen a few food
I've
there.
I've seen quite a few.
there was an Italian crew that did everybody.
Yeah,
It
they were
was
amazing.
Oh, that is
Amazing.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were amazing. Yeah, they look
Have I
great.
seen that? Send me that picture.
They look great.
Yeah.
I will also say, as a new person, like coming into something that's been around for a long time, sometimes people are like, who are the new kids? They're not sure of them. Everybody was super welcoming and like, I'm so excited. Can't wait to see what you do. Like it was really nice. You didn't feel like you were barging in on a franchise that was like, we're good with what we got. Like,
Wait a minute. They're still giving me Laurie. I've been with them for a couple of years and they're still giving me hell. Lucky. They're like, oh, you again?
I mean, they're like, oh.
We just love giving you Doug. That's all it is. You're fun to give to, Doug. So we do that.
Apparently.
Yeah. And Richard knows how to dish it out, that's for sure.
What are you saying, Michelle? What are you saying?
You know how to dish the out,
I know
Richard.
how to dish the.
And
The
that's
guy
what
on
makes
their
you a
beat
great
is gonna-
writer.
Yes, thank you.
Exactly.
Thank you, guys. Well,
No, we
it has been my honor and my privilege and my joy to work with you guys. And I just have to say to anyone who has any question at all that they should definitely go see this movie because it looks great. It's wonderful. I think you'll enjoy the performances. I think you'll enjoy the look of the film. It's a great film, and it's a lot of fun.